All right. Hi. Let's see if we're going live. Oh, there we are. Hey. It is Friday. I figured I'd just hop on for a little bit and hang out with some folks here. How you guys doing? It's been a long week for me. In fact, I probably mentioned this last time, but I got on a TV show, a Discovery Network TV show about the firefighters in California. And so I've been working on maps and text and all that stuff, and it's been cranking stuff out for the last 4 weeks now. So hi Luca, how you doing? So I've been pretty busy working on that. I've got in my mind that I'm going to clean up and redo my office and my set. And I've got a really cool, like, Mandalorian inspired idea of doing like a LED background. Well, I guess they use OLED, but yeah, I'm not in. I don't have Disney money, so it's gonna be LEDs for me. So that's gonna be something I've been working on, or I will be working on. Hi guys. Some Chinese characters. I don't know how to read that, although I was born in Taiwan, so I should be able to read that. Hi Daniel from San Antonio. Hey Bad Karma. Welcome to the chat. So yeah, this is just kind of a low-key little hangout here, as we're kind of winding down the year of 2020. Good old 2020. And baby, it's COVID outside. I wanted to say that joke for a long time. Hi Megan from Buffalo. And yeah, Mateo L, how you doing? So yeah, just working pretty hard on all of that stuff for the maps and stuff. So I've been grinding through those, and what else? That's mainly it. Then I did a quick little recording on Monday of a string quintet, and I thought it was going to be kind of cold, but it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. Jeffrey Simpkins says Cameroon compadre on here too. All right, cool. Moy from LA, Moises Ramirez, how you doing? Late night living room. Hey John, hope all is well. Watching the last drive-in, so might be in and out. All right, yeah, keep watching. Don't stop this. Don't stop the movie for me. I'm just chilling with you guys. I don't have any particularly interesting, thought-provoking to say. We might delve into some interesting topics. Who knows what's going to happen? Anything can happen on these live streams. You know, I could spill Coke on my keyboard, and that would be crazy. We don't know. It might happen. Bad Karma's got a question. What gear should a beginning filmmaker have in his kit? Camera would be nice. Garden Grove, yeah, I know Bad Karma's in Garden Grove. He's just announcing it to the world. But beginning filmmakers, camera's obviously essential. Tripod's essential. Sound is essential. Once you get those, maybe start looking into lighting. But it all depends on the kind of stuff that you want to shoot. So it depends on what exactly you're gonna get. Lucas saying COVID was great for us film buffs. We can finally catch up on older movies without the distraction from new ones. Yeah, so it's interesting because I've been getting some comments on my comic book, our comic book movies destroying cinema, and people are still going on there saying yes they are. And I'm thinking, we haven't had a comic book movie in a long, long time. At least 20 years, right? Because 2020 feels like it's 20 years long. But yeah, we had like, 3 major comic book movies that were supposed to come out this year. Believe it, Wonder Woman is still coming out in Christmas, streaming-wise. We had the Scarlett Johansson movie, that got pushed back. And I think Doctor Strange was supposed to come out, but we didn't see any of that. And so, yeah, you had a year without any comic book movies. I would say that the cinema has been destroyed without comic book movies. Cinema's been destroyed by just having not the ability to actually go to a movie theater and watch anything. I did see one movie in theaters since March, and that was Tenet. I got that little brief window where we were allowed to go see movies, and they released Tenet, and I went and saw it. And that was the one movie I saw since March. So that is it. Backing up here. Hey, directing filming says, hey buddy, love your videos. Thanks so much for sharing. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you for watching them. That's the hardest thing. I mean, I'll be honest though. I'm grateful for the audience that you guys can come and watch the videos. It's very different, when you're making videos, and I was there at one point. When you're making videos and you get like 53 views, and you're like, oh. Or you get really excited because I got 200 views on that one. That must have been doing real well, But the views have gotten better, and so it's all over the place for my stuff. I've had a couple videos hit like 150,000 in a few weeks. Like they just kind of latched on, and then a lot of these other ones are just kind of sitting around 7,000. But hey, it is what it is, man. And what can I say? I'm not chasing the YouTube. I'm not chasing the YouTube unicorn like some people. I'm not gonna really post out, like daily vlog style videos. That's not really the style I want to do. And, it's not everything's going to hit really hard. So got to expect that. So anyhow, oh yeah, new Batman too. Oh, we missed that one. So 2 DCs, 2 Marvels, and, but no comic book movies and a James Bond because, well, screw that. We're not going to have any of that. It's all going to be 2021. It's going to be 2021 is going to be the constipated year of the movies. Everything that was supposed to come out in 2020 is going to go rushing out in a big gooey mess, big disgusting release. That makes it sound horrible. I'm not looking forward to that. Little Mill asked, "Did I like Tenet?" I'm kind of torn about Tenet. I think I described this on the previous stream that Tenet felt like it could have been a lot better if they would have just explained a few key plot points that I had to discover in a video from YouTube. By the way, hey, CC, cheers from Taiwan. I was born there, so I have a lot of folks. My mom's from Peng Fu, which is an island off of Taiwan. So Taiwan's kind of like, and I've got my mom's side of the family's from Taiwan, so I've got a heart for Taiwan. Anyhow, is he the only one that Lil and me Mill asked if she's the only one or he's the only one that doesn't like Nolan movies? I really do like Christopher Nolan, although I tend to feel like he's getting a little too much praise. Jay Wolfenstein first says, "I personally like your defense of 24 FPS the best." Thank you very much. So yeah, talk about the topic that kind of was on my mind in the last couple days. Some people keep coming on my Gemini Man review, like the Gemini Man review that I did. It's an 11-minute review about a movie. It's called a 24 frame rate filmmaker watches Gemini Man. And I was kind of rough on it precisely for the high frame rate. But somebody was on the other day and saying, like, I can't believe that the frame rate has anything to do with the acting. My God, that doesn't make any sense. And I thought about it, and I thought it made a very interesting connection the last couple days. And it's that, well, of course frame rate has anything to do with acting. Like, just like I can make a beautiful person look ugly by the way you light them. You can make them look unflattering by the way you shoot them. Like if I shot from underneath, you got that one look, and if I shot from above, you get a different look. So camera angle affects how you perceive a person, right? So therefore, why shouldn't frame rate affect the acting? Why shouldn't frame rate affect the way we approach? And the ultimate truth is that frame rate basically, we judge acting through the medium, right? And there is no such thing as an objective acting, right? Objective, there's no, you're not in the room. You can't say I'm in the room with the actor. You can't judge the acting that way. You're judging it through a medium. So how the medium is presented affects the way the acting is perceived. So yeah, just like the camera angle affects the way a face is presented, the frame rate can affect the way a performance is. So yeah, definitely. I thought it was an interesting connection. I don't know if anyone else thinks it's interesting. Follow up here, Vendant Tiwari. What's the best frame rate for action sequences to show all the action in every frame? And in my opinion, cinematically, 24 frames per second is better for action sequences. Because the fact of the matter is, we want to talk about what is objective reality, which is some sort of action that happens in the real world. That's objective reality. Do you want to capture objective reality? No, you want to create something that looks cool. So you want to use this frame rate, the 24 frames per second, which has that kind of that cinematic veneer to it, to capture it. The fact of the matter is, real action sequences, they're not real. They're fake. Everything's fake in a movie. A movie is fake. And the more you apply like higher frame rates, you reveal that fakeness. And I know the argument always is like, well, let's just make sure let's make Hollywood make more realistic action. That's not the point. I don't really care about reality. I care about what's the effect, So, and the thing is too, like if you ever watch like a Hollywood fight scene and then you watch a real fight on video, the real fight doesn't look cool. It kind of looks mundane and it looks kind of sad, and you have a really weird feeling about it. But then you watch an action flick, you're like, man, that's pretty awesome. Anyhow, I'm going way, and I'm not sure if anybody else is interested in frame rate. So Jay Wolfenstein says at 24 it seems larger than life. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the people don't realize is like, and look, I'm not talking about gaming at 24, and I really wish people would stop making that comparison. No, you do not want to game at 24 frames a second. You don't. I recently got into VR. In fact, we should talk about that too. I bought an Oculus Quest 2, and yes, you do not want to be using 24 frames per second with an Oculus VR. No way, right? So we're not talking about gaming. And where in gaming, you do want to see like as little motion blur as possible. You want to see very high frame rates. That's gaming. But cinema you want that extra motion blur. Like if I punch really hard and you see a motion blur streak, that feels faster than if you see every single little iteration of the frame. So anyhow, like I keep saying, we always talk about. I'm not sure how many people are interested in frame rate at this point. But we can increase the shutter. Prackle says we can increase the shutter speed while shooting action. Yeah, sure. Now, right, you want to increase the shutter speed. Like the popular example is a movie like Saving Private Ryan. Everyone picks Saving Private Ryan to talk about. Action and small shutter speeds, and you get that very staccato look, right? And maybe you want that look. Another example I think is Crank. I think Crank is probably a better example because you want that. It's trying to create that intense, anxiety-driven feel, right? I haven't seen Crank. I've only seen the trailers, so I'm just telling you what I know from the trailers. But I think that the motion blur when you do for like a fast action, you want that motion blur because you want to create that sense of speed without necessarily having that speed, right? So I don't think you always necessarily want to crank up the shutter speed when you're shooting action. You want probably stay at the 180 degree rule. Depends, it depends. Depends on what you're doing. It depends what you're trying to go for. Anyhow. Cam Covella asks, do I like the Quest 2? I really do enjoy the Quest. I've been on a bender trying to lose weight, obviously. I should be working on that. And I've gone down a few pounds, actually, but I've been doing a lot of Beat Saber now. I find Beat Saber is a good, as soon as I get through the campaign, hopefully I don't get too bored with it, but I do enjoy Beat Saber. It does create quite a workout. And the real reason I got the Quest 2, the two reasons is... Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah, I grew up in the era of the piloted flying around space simulator, so that game is my jam. I'm not very good at it anymore, but the VR, I did the VR and it's like, yeah, that's pretty insanely awesome. And in the same vein, I really do like the why would it block that? Anyhow, I really do like the same vein. I really do like Flight Simulator. So Flight Simulator is my jam too, and that VR is coming out pretty soon. So I'll be flying my Beechcraft around because I like the Beechcraft plane. I think it's the best balance of speed and kind of general aviation. That I dig that. So I love to try out like the Extras 300S with the VR because with the straight ahead view, that doesn't. I find it. I don't really enjoy it because I want to be able to see around. But with a tail dragger, your plane's always up a little bit. So, I can't wait for those two. That's really the reason why I got the Oculus Quest 2 for those two things. But Beat Saber is now my go-to. I'll probably do the fight art of the fight for my next like exercise regimen. But I'm going down. I'll be honest. I've lost at least 15 pounds in the last month and a half, 2 months. No. I guess that's 2.5 months, 3 months maybe. So anyhow, you guys know I'm a sucker for 24 frames per second discussion, right? So everybody that's making comments, I'm gluing in on you guys, and feel free to repeat yourself because I did miss a lot. Matthew Souza says, what's the difference between 24 FPS with a fast shutter, say 90 degrees, and a high frame rate with slow shutter, say 180 degrees? Well, you have to convert all that to partial second, or what is it, fractional seconds. So 90 degrees shutter 24 is what, 96, 196, and a high frame rate like 60 at 180 would be 120. So you do the math, right? And then of course, because if you're showing frames, if you're showing 60 frames a second, it's a different cadence than showing 24. So obviously there's differences. So I would avoid using shutter angle when you're comparing frame rate because it's gonna confuse you. Like you're saying 48 frames a second at 360 is the same thing as 24 at 180. No, it's not. It's the same shutter duration. But it's not the same effect. Anyhow, I know you guys are loving this conversation about 24 frames per second. I'll hit one more. Gumby asks, what do you think of shooting action at 22 frames per second? I think Fast Furious driving sequences are shot at 22. Yeah, that's fine, but I have no camera that is able to crank down to 22 frames a second. It's just not possible. So for me, it's out of the question. I don't really have the capability of doing it, but yeah, why not? I've heard that also somebody else is doing it. Sherlock Holmes did that, and you get a little bit sped up. When you play it back at 24, it's sped up just a little bit. I believe so, right? Is that the right way? Yeah. It's a little bit of a time-lapse effect, right? Anyhow. Can you, you're asking me the 24, you're scratching that nerve, right? Can you tell the difference between 48 and 60? I personally probably could not between 48 and 60. I don't think it's that. Depends on, to tell the difference between 48 and 60, you're looking for like screen artifacts. But that's cheating. I don't, if you're looking for screen artifacts, that's just cheating. Yeah, the 30 FPS can be so unsettling for me. So is 60. I'm actually working on this TV show right now for Discovery Channel. So we're working 29.97, and I'm used to it. It's not 24, but it's television. And it's a reality show, so it's going to be a little more of a reality stuff. Amir says, love your video about the history of Paramount Studios. Are you planning to do similar videos about other major film studios? I have 20th Century Fox in line. I guess when we're deep enough in the video, I can talk about a little bit here. I did William Fox, and last time, and I think I might have said it last time, but the author of the book that I used as a resource did not like the fact that I used her book as a resource, which is weird because you can't copyright facts, but she got angry with me. DMCA'd on my Patreon, if you check it out, patreon.com. So DMCA'd me on Patreon. I had to take down the link from Patreon for a few days, but I filed a counter notice. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. Honestly, that has been a little bit of a sore spot for me. Like, why would you think you could copyright the facts in your book? But it is what it is. So we'll see what happens with that. And I do have 20th Century Fox on the pile of to-do list for the next video. But to be honest with you guys, those videos are so time consuming to make the studio's videos, and they do so poorly compared to how much work they have to put into them. I mean, I'm not trying to get angry, but it's like, man, you guys, not you guys, because you guys are here hanging out with me, but like the general audience on YouTube does not care about old movie history and studio history at all. So it sucks. It's disheartening when you put like a month and a half of work into a video and it gets like just gets really low views. And I did a video like it took me a day and a half, not even a day, like 3 hours to record, and that gets 150,000 views. It's like, well, what am I doing with my life? So anyhow, yeah. So I mean, I hope you guys. I mean, I do like to continue. I would want to continue that series, but it is a time crunch right now, and I'm so busy doing stuff. Well, I'm gotten busy, but it's just, yeah, every day is just like a constant go go go. I'm like I don't think I've taken a day off really for like 2 months. I mean, maybe I have. It's hard to remember. It's all a cloud. It's all a big COVID cloud, right? David Bosenko, ever stare at a video monitor so long that your eyes flicker when you turn it off? Yes. I used to, and stress will do it too. Like I'll get, I don't know if I've ever told you guys the story. When I probably did on the last video about the history of blood. And I did this history of blood video. We shot it in like 16 hours and it was covered in blood. I think I told this story already. Probably you guys haven't heard it. Half of you guys probably haven't heard it yet. So I did the history of blood. We shot this thing 16 hours, had my friends come over, help me, and we did it. I cut it together and I thought, no, this does not fit the style of the channel. It's too dark, it's too grimy, and we kind of threw it all out. And I had this hard deadline of Halloween, try to get it out by Halloween. And that was probably the worst time of my filmmaking career where I just felt like, man, I'm almost ready to give up on all of this. But in my heart, I knew I couldn't. I knew I couldn't give up. So, anyhow, yeah. At that point, my eyes start to like twitch. Then it's not just the streaming service. I started to twitch in my eyes. You develop an eye twitch, and that's not fun. So I don't like doing that. Okay, let's jump ahead here. What's your favorite movie shot on film and then upscaled to 4K? I have no idea those technicalities. I don't think, well, shooting on film, you don't need to upscale to 4K. Film is already 4K. Film may be beyond 4K. There's a story about the General, the movie, Buster Keaton movie from 1936, and there's a 4K release of that restoration. And it looks fantastic. A lot of stuff that the Germans shot. What's the name of that director? F.W. Murnau. A lot of his stuff, because that stuff was really well shot, really well kept. That's being released on 4K. So all this film stuff, you've seen those videos of the 1906, like San Francisco or whatever, New York, and there's just this camera on a trolley and it's just going by, and then somebody upscales it to 60 frames per second, and it's like, no, that originated on film. Maybe it was recorded at 15 frames a second because those old crank cameras. But speaking of frame rate, though, it's really funny when it's upscaled to 60 frames a second and you actually sit there and watch it like frame by frame. It's not 60 frames a second. Most of it's 30. They're just cheating. They're doubling the frame, right? So anyhow, Megan Myers says, I can't afford Adobe much longer. Gotta find another job. LOL. Oh, that sucks. I will never, unfortunately, I like Adobe. I will not give it up. You cannot unhook it to my brain. No, I have nothing. I have no complaints about Adobe, honestly. It literally, it makes my world. It makes me, the whole thing, right? Wally Chinchilla. Nice name there. I had to work in Chicago, but had to drop because of COVID. Hope to get back at it. I know, COVID. Hopefully we'll be coming out of it. I have my doubts to see how long it's going to take. A while. I know California, we had the vaccine come out, and I don't want this to turn into a political discussion or a recent event discussion, because there's enough of that online. Fritz Lang, oh, that's the German, the director of photography. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, we have the vaccine come out, but according to our governor, it's only going to go to like the first in line first responders, and then like senior care facility workers. So there's like a pecking order. So I don't know when the general population is going to be able to even get to the vaccine. So hopefully they don't drag this out and actually get the stuff out to people, so we can kind of move beyond this and get back to some sort of semblance of normalcy. Problem is, I think, I'll just say it. Problem is, I don't know if some people want to get back to normal, and that's what's scary. I think there's a lot of people that just want to get back to normal, but there's a lot of people that just, I want to hold on to that control. I want to hold on to a little longer, and that's what scares me a little bit. And but I don't want to talk too much about that, because there's enough of this. There's enough of this talk online. But yeah, films, we got to get back to normal. Megan says, that's what I learned on, so it's just what I'm most comfortable with, but I'm trying DaVinci. Thanks, guys. I don't like DaVinci Resolve. I just don't like it, and I'm tired of people telling me I should like it. I mean, yeah, for color grading, it's fantastic. It's probably way better than well, it is way better than Premiere. There's no question about it. I don't think anybody disagrees with that fact. But for editing, I just do not like DaVinci Resolve. Ugh, I do not like it at all. Not at all. And for me, like all the videos you see, what I do here, it's all tightly tied into After Effects. So I can't get away from After Effects. It would make my life living hell if I had to go to DaVinci Resolve. Why is Resolve better for color grading? I think the Resolve workflow with the nodes, just the way it's designed, I think probably the way that the way the code works as far as the colors, probably a little more designed for color. So I think that's probably why Resolve is better. I mean, just the mentality of working in Resolve as far as color goes, it makes a lot more sense, I think. But yeah, although Premiere's getting pretty good. Now, I use Premiere's Lumetri color, and for what I do, it is absolutely fine. It is absolutely fine. Fannie Mae says, I'm getting old. Yes, I am. Every year goes by, I get 1 year older. I don't know how it works out that way, but it just seems to do that. Ugh. Dark Road Run says, probably a bunch of plague movies in the works for the next few years in Hollywood. I hope not. Like the one thing like I refuse to watch right now is I refuse to watch any movie program or whatever that uses Zoom as a storytelling element. I do not need that in my life. I don't care how clever you think you are. I don't want to be reminded of that. I don't want people staring into screens, as your movie. It's no, just no. I don't want it. Don't want it. So I want to return back, like a movie should be escapism. Movie should be, escape from reality, not a constant reminder of the reality. So, yeah. But anyways, you do watch movies, you go like, those people are not 6 feet apart. Those people are not 6 feet apart. That love scene could not be done in 2020. Last time we got into a big discussion about nudity. So this time we're not going to do it. Juan Damien asks, what do you think of HDR? Are newer movies on 4K noticeable difference in movies like Endgame comes out in 4K versus 1080p Blu-ray? HDR, I believe, is the next step. Is it going to be like everybody's got to jump on board HDR? No, I don't think so, but I think HDR probably is the key. That's going to be like the next exciting thing. Is it going to be totally dominating everything? I don't know. I think regular standard Rec 709 is still pretty good. Are newer movies on 4K? Not all of them, really. I mean, they're more and more becoming more dominant 4K. Is there most of the between 4K and 1080p? And also, the question is, does your television up-res the signal? And sometimes up-resing can look just as good as just a native 4K. So I don't know. Honestly, like another person mentioned earlier, that I am getting old. It's just true. And my eyes are not getting younger. So I don't know if 4K and 1080 is that big a difference. obviously for production-wise, 4K is preferable. You always want a higher quality input. So 4K, yeah. 8K, if you can afford it. 12K, being Blackmagic, oh, sure. Okay, sure. But honestly, like, I'm working on this Discovery show, and we're already... Like, we're only outputting 1080p, and it's already, some of this stuff has already taken a long time to render. I can't imagine 4K. It'd be about 2.5 to 3 times longer as far as rendering times. Matthew Wine says, what's your 9 to 5, John? What kind of projects do you work on day to day? I don't have a 9 to 5. I have a 9 to 9 to 9. I own my own business. I do video production, obviously. And that's what I do. I do a lot of documentary work. I used to do a lot of like fundraising documentaries for nonprofits, but now I do a lot of messaging for cities and school districts and stuff like that. So talking head videos, kind of stuff like you see me doing, but a little more, I guess, a little more drier. Topics are a little more less interesting. Last man says, at least 2020 didn't have any comic book movies. Yep. What do you think of the HBO Max deal? I don't know what the HBO Max deal is. Oh, is it the stuff for the releasing and all that stuff for theaters and stuff? I don't know what you can do. Theaters are literally in such a bind that the theaters can't really say, well, we still want our protected window of release window. Well, you don't have a choice at this point. Everything's so ridiculously screwed up that. Anyhow, so everyone's making the best of what they can at this point, and that's all we can do. Lazja, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Do you know much about shooting on audio cassette? I was told recently the PXL 2000 can shoot video on audio tapes, which blew my mind. That PXL 2000 was kind of a joke back in the MySpace days, when people would come on the forums and they say, hey, what kind of camera should I buy? And the first answer would be PXL 2000. Get that camera, you'll be set for life. So that's audio tape is just the same thing as videotape. It's just a tape. Tape is tape. So whether you're recording a digital audio signal or trying to record a video signal on it, obviously because the cassette tape is much thinner, you're not going to be able to fit as much information on it as like a VHS tape, which is obviously like 3 or 4 times wider. So yeah, but tape is tape. It just depends on how you get the signal on there. Young person here. Okay, Gunner says, young person here. I don't see a difference between 1080p and 4K. It's not just you, not just me. Yeah, and it's also a function of the distance from the actual screen. So I don't tend to watch my movies, sitting 2 feet in front of the screen. I was watching the Linus video where he was playing Cyberpunk 2077 with an 8K television, but he was sitting like 3 feet from the screen. So it was like, fill up his entire view of, that I could see 8K working. Oh, Gumby says AMC theaters announced they'll be broke in January. Is it surprising? My AMC's been closed for a while. So, Matthew Wine, thanks for answering my question. Thanks for all your education. Oh, thank you. Some of my lectures. Feel free to use the videos and lectures or whatever you guys do in your schools. Unlike certain other people that I've run across, I don't have a problem with people using my materials. That's why I publish it. If you don't put stuff out in the universe, you don't try to hide stuff from the universe that you publish. Never mind. You guys probably don't understand why I'm saying that. Anyhow. Alexis Papagiergo. I'm sorry, probably butchered that name. What's the situation with cinemas in the U.S. at the moment? Are you guys getting back to a semblance of movie flow? No semblance whatsoever. I'm speaking from California. California has gone down to another lockdown. Although, honestly, my town, no one's really paying attention to lockdown. We're just behaving as we did a few months ago, which is just wear your masks, socially distance. Restaurants had to close down. Movie theaters are closed, so none of that stuff. And we're all just sitting home watching Netflix and Amazon. And tonight's The Mandalorian, so we got to watch The Mandalorian tonight. But yeah, no semblance of anything. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. What are the next studio in my studio series? Everyone, you guys that are watching, you guys that are jumping on the stream are big fans of the studios. You got to tell your friends to watch it because no one else is watching this. I want to try to finish off the Fox story. So the Fox story is fascinating. I mean, once you get past William Fox is his own world of interesting right there. But no one really knows anything about Fox before it became 20th Century Fox. Everyone talks about 20th Century Fox, and that's when we got Richard Zanuck. And Richard Zanuck is a crazy MFer. My goodness. And then his son, Daryl Zanuck, right? So we got the transition from that, and then we got bring in Spiros Skouras, the guy that brought us CinemaScope, and who Skouras is fired by Daryl Zanuck and replaced with Richard Zanuck and replaced with Daryl. I might be getting those two mixed up. Then we go through the entire 70s with Alan Ladd, and then we come to Rupert Murdoch, who I'm sure everybody's probably familiar with the whole Fox News and all that stuff. And it's fascinating to me that Fox News has nothing to do with William Fox, and yet the name Fox is associated with a television, station, and then later a news station that he had nothing to do with, nothing at all. And nobody named Fox. Nobody named Fox had anything to do with the television studio, and yet that's the name that kind of stuck around. So I go to cover Rupert Murdoch, and then how the studio was sold to Disney. And then what happens to the studio. So Fox Television breaks off, Fox News breaks off, and you got Disney, which owns 20th Century Fox, and then removes the Fox name completely and becomes 20th Century Pictures. So, yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, Juan asked, did Fox get renamed after Disney took over? Yeah, so it became 20th Century Pictures, back to the name it used to be called, the company that merged with Fox back in 1930 something, 1932, I believe. Juan Damien says, will Bad Boys 3 sweep the Oscars? On a serious note, how is the Academy going to handle their nomination since the rules say the movie has to be on screen in LA for 2 weeks? I have no idea. It's a great question. I'd be all in favor for just skipping the Oscars this year because what are you going to do? There's no Oscars. It's going to be the Emmys going to have an Emmys. You can have an Emmys program because the television still exists. But movies, what's the point? Bad Boys 3, Tenet, whatever that movie that one, I can't think of the guy that played Jean Valjean, whatever. His movie came out. I don't know. So why don't we just skip just lump 2020 with 2021 movies and just say, free for all next year. Yeah, that's the way it used to be in the Oscars, right? The Oscars used to be a 2-year affair. Like you would only have it every 2 years. At least the first 6 Oscars are 2 years. Russell Crowe movie, yeah, that Russell Crowe movie. That's what I was talking about. Hey Rick, how you doing? Is that Rick from the car show guy? Is it the Cars? I think it might be. How you doing? Yeah, it's a great name. That's what, a lot of cities have a Fox Theater. Yeah, the Fox Theater. I work out of the Riverside once in a while. We do. I do some recording of some operas out of the Fox Theater. The Fox in Riverside, California. So it was really good. Sonic the Hedgehog is another movie that will probably sweep the Oscars for best portrayal of a hedgehog that runs at faster than sound, right? I guess, I don't know. I enjoyed that movie. It was fun. Back in those days when we could go to the movies, those times, those crazy times. Those crazy times when we complained about, these comic book movies are destroying cinema. Nope, it wouldn't be that destroying cinema. It's COVID. Tarantino should do Last Time in Mexico and be an actor riding off into the sunset. Yeah, I don't know what Tarantino's next project is. I don't know. I mean, he's literally said he's going to do 10 films and he's going to tap out. Honestly, I don't think I would ever, if I got to the point where I was in Tarantino's ability, I would work till I died. And I think that's what a lot of other directors are doing. They will work until someone says no, you can't work anymore. Look at Scorsese. Scorsese's an interesting character. So let's talk a little about Scorsese. The guy is like really old. I don't know how old he is right now, but he's not going to quit. The thing about Scorsese, though, I'll let's be honest here. I always say that on these streams. Let's be honest. No, let's be deceptive. Let's be manipulative and not tell the truth. No, but Scorsese, I kind of wish Scorsese, and this is to do with Lucas too. I think a lot of the bigger filmmakers do this. It's like I really wish he would go back and make movies for smaller budgets. The Irishman, what was like $175 million for The Irishman? And if you looked at it, and this is the point that I was making back in the day when The Irishman, Spider-Man 2 Far From Home cost $150 million, and Scorsese's Irishman cost more money than Spider-Man. As far as like what the commercial value is, Spider-Man would have made a whole lot more money than Irishman ever made, or Irishman could ever make. Be completely honest, there I go saying that again. But I just wish he was able to just dial back the budget, because Scorsese requiring that much money to get a movie made means he gets to direct fewer movies. He can only direct movies when they're humongous budgets. And that sucks. I wish he was able to go back and be a little bit leaner and meaner and make smaller movies. Something like Kevin Smith. Now, Kevin Smith has not put out a lot of great movies recently. But he's making movies. That's different. He's at least making stuff. He's probably making it for a very, very low budget. But I don't know. I talk a big game about that kind of stuff, but what do I know? What do I know about these kind of budgets? John Doe asks, where does the budget go? Well, The Irishman, it was a lot of special effects or visual effects to get those people. And then Scorsese, I think he likes to work with really expensive actors, and he does not make them work for scale. He makes, and I guess, there's part of that, part of that is like, if Scorsese says, hey, John, you want to work for me? And be like, well, yeah, but shouldn't I also make, a top dollar? I shouldn't be making for cheap, So there's an expectation, with Scorsese movies. I guess everyone's getting paid really, really well. Anyhow, Alexander says, I love Scorsese, but The Irishman was lame. I don't think I got through the whole thing, honestly. It was, Francis Ford Coppola made Godfather 2, arguably one of the best movies ever made. He didn't need fancy technology to make Marlon Brando look young. He just used another actor. Why couldn't you do that? Stranger Sound says insurance, lawyers, marketing, logistics. I don't think it's that, because every movie has insurance. Every movie has lawyers and marketing, and maybe not as much marketing, logistics. It's just, I think the balloon inflation occurs, I think, with star money, the cost of the stars. De Niro's probably getting a big fat paycheck. Pesci's probably getting a big fat paycheck to come out of retirement. And then perhaps because Scorsese can do it, he just, I'm going to take a really, really long time and just pay these people for an enormous amount of time to do this project. So, Rick says, how will budgets be impacted moving forward with the release going direct to streaming and make far less money? I think budgets are going to probably, again, I don't play in the arena of like big budget movies and big budget projects. I play in the arena of very, very tiny budgets. And, I think it's going to be I think you're going to see more of the smaller budgets getting made. I don't know. It's going to be more of the same. You're going to have really, really rich productions and very, very penny poor productions. And we're all just going to be trying to fight each other for a scrap of the attention span that people have watching this stuff. Megan Maya, the more famous the actor, the more likely people will see it. Absolutely. That's why stars get paid so much money. In fact, I go back to a very old thought experiment. I think I'm trying to remember. I don't remember where it was in college, but like the idea that let's say you've got everybody. Let's say everybody gets $10, just even flat out. Everybody gets $10 evenly, right? And then a basketball player comes along, and since I'll update the basketball player to Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. But Kobe Bryant comes along and he plays basketball so well that 10% of the population will willing to pay $1 to watch him play a game of basketball, right? So now from everybody has equally $10, and then let's say 100 people show up and pay $1 of their $10 to watch Kobe Bryant play. So Kobe Bryant now has $110, so he has more money. So what that means is like someone like Kobe Bryant has people that are willing to show up to watch him play. Now, will you guys show up to watch me play basketball? You might once, and then you'll laugh your ass off and say, I'm never going to come watch that again. So I don't have that ability to draw 100 people to pay $1 to watch me play basketball. So in that sense, like that's why star power is so important. It's like, why do people even okay, look at my stream here. I've got 78 confirmed viewers, and thank you guys for hanging out. But I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not doing 30,000 people live here. So I can't attract the kind of money. Anyhow, you guys probably understand what I'm saying. I'm just rambling at this point. But yeah, stars do bring in, and that's why stars make up really the majority of the budget, I think, for the big Hollywood productions. Small Hollywood, you're talking like $1 million to $5 million, $10 million movie. Star budgets are probably not the big price tag. But a $50 million movie, that's stars. That's what the cost. That's how you go. Think of it doesn't take that much more for a crew of people who are working a 21 days of shooting for a small movie versus 21 days for a big movie. It's about the same cost, but when you add stars into it, that's when it gets ballooned. And big productions often have too many cooks. Too many cooks. Too many cooks. Yeah. Well, one thing I want to mention. So you guys, if you haven't watched already, Netflix has the movies that made us, right? If you are a filmmaker or you're interested in filmmaking, the movies that made us is probably one of the best documentaries about how movies actually happen, because they don't focus on the myth telling. They focus on the people that actually make the movies, and these are not famous people. That's what I love about this series, the movies that made us. It's that they talk to they don't have, I guess they don't have the big budget to there's two of them that just came out called the Christmas movies that made us. And they talk about Elf, and they talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, they don't interview Jon Favreau, probably because Jon Favreau is too busy to talk to this Netflix. They don't interview Tim Burton. So they don't interview Tim Burton because he's probably too famous. But they interview the person that wrote Elf. They interview the producers that produced Elf, the first-time producers. So they actually interviewed Danny Elfman from Nightmare Before Christmas, because I guess he doesn't have anything to do. But they interview the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, because it's not Tim Burton. That most people, it's Harry Selick. Harry Selick is the Ryan actor, something like that. Harry something or another, Selnick or something like that. But anyhow, they interview that. They interview the writer. That show makes me so happy to watch that. I honestly, this last year I've been totally down on filmmaking because we don't get to do filmmaking anymore. But watching that series is you really get to see all the hopes and dreams of these people, regular people, right? Regular folks making these movies, and the challenges they have to face. And so I would highly recommend, if you guys want to go out, check out the Christmas movies that made us about Elf, which made me want to watch Elf again. And then Nightmare Before Christmas. And then they also have a whole series of movies that made us 80s movies. But if you want more Christmas, there's a Home Alone that they did, which is a fantastic story about how they took over a abandoned school and made that their production studio. This whole entire school, and they actually built the set in the swimming pool. That's how they did the water stuff. Yeah, definitely check those shows out. It's a great documentary, and it feels to me like the most authentic to how real filmmaking happens. It's not so like I honestly I don't like the myth making of like certain stars and producer or certain famous star directors like Alfred Hitchcock. I don't like the Alfred Hitchcock. Like, he was such a genius. He envisioned every single shot in his head and it just spilled out, and that's what it became to be. That's not true. That's not true. There's actually a story about how Alfred Hitchcock, there's storyboards for North by Northwest, and they say, well, look at the storyboard. It matches the film exactly, because the storyboard was made after they shot the film for the marketing. That's true, right? So I don't like that. I like to hear the real story of how Alfred Hitchcock probably worked with his director, worked with the DP, and worked with the studio and created this thing. That's, to me, is the most interesting part of it. I have completely ignored your guys' chat for long enough, so let's go back to it here. All right. Wally Chinchilla said, I had a debate with my image design teacher, had no respect for Keanu Reeves' career. I had to bring up all his 80s stuff. He had a big gap before John Wick where he was making duds. Yeah, he like John Travolta is another example. Like John Travolta, we now kind of, I mean, he's not kind of not taken so seriously, but for a long time before Pulp Fiction, like John Travolta's career was just in the toilet. Then, Tarantino gave him a shot at doing something that's like really cool, and that kind of boosted him up to like A-list again. So Keanu Reeves is, Keanu Reeves had The Matrix, obviously. Before that, Bill and Ted, and then he was in the slump for a while. But we'll always remember what he did with Coppola, and whoa, dude, the Dracula movie, the Dracula movie. Oh, that was rough. That was rough. Yeah, Megan. Yep, Home Alone, Die Hard, Dirty Dance. Dirty Dancing is a great story too. So I hope I'm not being like a sexist, but yeah, because I see you're Megan, so I'm assuming you're a girl. But Dirty Dancing, it's a great story. You should check it out. Gumby says, I keep thinking I should make a docu about Below the Line Crew. I would love to see more about Below the Line Crew. I think Below the Line Crew don't get the respect as far as like the filmmaking, like talking about below the line folks. We always talk about the stars. We always talk about the director. I try to do the series again. Like I don't want the guys to feel like I'm complaining. I mean, I am complaining. I am obviously complaining. That's what I'm doing here, right? But I need to speak from the truth here. I try to do a show called on this channel called Film Jobs, where I wanted to talk to people that weren't the stars, that weren't the directors, that weren't the famous people in filmmaking. I wanted to talk to the below the line people. I wanted to talk about what they did in their jobs. So I wanted to also springboard it as to like people that ask me, or people, teachers that use it across the classroom. What are some jobs that you can do as a filmmaker that don't necessarily aren't director and actor or editor? I did an interview with an editor. So we did this series, and the problem was it tanked because no one cares. Again, we talk about star power, right? Why do we keep talking about Alfred Hitchcock? Why do we keep talking about Quentin Tarantino? Why do we keep talking about Jon Favreau now that he's famous? Because they're famous. So when you have famous people, we're making videos on YouTube about famous people, those are the ones that drive clicks. If I make a video about the automatic dialogue replacement loop group, the people that come in and do the mumbling for the background actors, only the diehard folks watch that. So I was again, that wasn't one of those things where I put so much effort into doing those, and I just couldn't get any traction on that. Because they take forever to edit, and they take us such a long time. I mean, if I can get this YouTube thing going more, maybe we'll come back and do some more. But I won't probably do them like as in production intensive as I did. Maybe more like just again more low key, I guess. But I don't. Again, it's a tough line. Like, how much time effort do you put into these things if they're not really being watched, they're not being consumed on a high level. Anyhow, hey, where do you download YouTube videos? So, internet download or internet, what is it called? Internet download manager. Don't tell anybody. Just between you and me, internet. Don't tell anybody. Never mind. All right. Let's see. Canon 5D or Sony A7, which variant version? I don't care. Do whatever. Rock your boat. I got the 5DS recently because it was on sale for ridiculously low. Like, I was looking for a new digital camera. I've been shooting a lot of film. In fact, I need to develop this. This is a roll of color film. I was shooting a lot of film. Film is fun to shoot, but I miss the instant gratification of image of digital. So I have a 5D Mark II it's showing its age, really age, right? Because the focus kind of sucks on that camera. So I got a 5DS, and the S was like $2,300, $2,500, but they knocked it down like to $1,000. I'm like, whoa, because I guess it didn't sell at all. It was like the dynamic range wasn't stellar at the time, so people were like kind of ragging on it, like, oh, Canon's just resting on its laurels with this crap. And the nice thing about the Canon, the 5DS, is that it has a 50 megapixel sensor. Now, the downside is that's 8K, by the way, if you want to count in like video terms, 8K. The downside is its dynamic range is like maybe 12 stops, maybe 11, 12 stops. So not like run home, tell your mom, hey, this camera has 16 stops of dynamic range. And also it doesn't even do 4K. It does 1080p. But I didn't get it for video. I got it for photos. So yeah, I got the 5DS, and I haven't gotten around to. I've been busy. I've been so busy since I got it. I haven't even had time to. I mean, I shot some work stuff with it, but not a whole lot with it yet. Dan says my videos on. Dan Ungaro, my videos on exposure have been enlightening. I hope they have been. Hope you've exposed yourself to my exposure videos. Something like that. Anyhow, what do we ask? Depot's still like, where's your camera? 5D or A7? 5D or A7? Which one? I'd say get the A7 probably. It also depends on what kind of glass you have. But yeah, sometimes, like, some of these decisions you have to make, like, early on. I don't, like, I started off as a Sony guy, doing a lot of Sony, back in the camcorder days, because I think Sony camcorders are better than Canon. I never liked Canon camcorders. But then I got into Canon photo world, and then I got a bunch of Canon glass, and now I'm kind of in the Canon world. I personally like the color science of Canon. I know that's in some parts of the internet that's sort of taboo thing to say. I like color science of Canon. Ooh, Canon color science. Ooh. But the fact of the matter is, Canon's color gets me closer to what I would think it looks good than any other camera. It's just like I popped it in my Premiere, do little fixes, boom, I get color that's like, wow, I like the look of that. It took me a lot less time to get there than it did for the Sony, than it did for the Blackmagic. So let's go with Canon. And like, another channel's watching was like, well, but you want the control. Like, not always. Sometimes I just want to get stuff done. I don't want to be sitting there like grading everything, trying a million different things. I just want to get the content finished and to a good point quicker. So that's why I ultimately went to Canon. So I'm waiting on my Canon C70. That's the new camera. I paid off my C200. I'm keeping that camera because I love the C200. But the C70 is like, wow, there's a lot of things to like about that C70, and it's not more expensive than the C200. It's actually, I think, a little cheaper. Maybe, I'm not sure. Gumby, we'll see you later. I hope you heard me when I catch you. Sony F5. I love the F5. It was between for me the Sony F5 and the Canon C200 when I purchased the C200, and I considered also the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro, I believe at the time. But the Blackmagic is so dang heavy, dude. It's like freaking 11 pounds, and the Sony F5 and the Canon C200 they're like 2 pounds. It was ridiculous. Like I could never consider that heavy of a camera. I'm glad I did, so I like that. Winchilla, I like the use of adapters. Oh, for if you're doing like a Lumix for Micro Four Thirds. I'm spoiled. I don't like I don't like Micro Four Thirds. I've never been a Panasonic guy. Just do not like them. But they're great cameras. I can't knock them. They're really good. Oh, Chris says, thanks for augmenting your high school physics classes and showing how physics is applied. Great. I love that. I think my channel is basically applied high school. Applied high school. I want to apply physics classes. I can't wait for a history teacher to say that my history stuff is applied history. Because I think everything you learned in history class in AP, I took AP US history. I'm sure you covered a lot of the stuff in U.S. history, but like a lot of stuff, Teapot Dome scandal, things that obviously World War I, World War II, Great Depression, all that affects too with movie history too. And I just love how these worlds intersect. Everything is related. Everything is. Rodri says, I'd like to know, have you written other scripts than the short film you did last year? I think maybe a film noir, feature film. I've never done a feature film. I have done several short films. They're scattered in the internet somewhere. They're out there somewhere. I don't know where they are. Feature film I haven't done yet. I think I did write a feature film script, but those don't count because they're not good. Fan base is great features. Autofocus is something that has gotten a very bad rap. And recently on my C200 I discovered how to use autofocus, and let me tell you, my videos are no longer out of focus. It's amazing. Like when you're shooting 4K and you're kind of running and gunning it, having good autofocus is it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. It really does. Like, I mean, I've shot stuff on this channel. There's stuff out there that's like, yeah, the focus is off. People always chide me, like, ironically, oh, your video about depth of field and focusing, it's out of focus. Yeah, I know, it's out of focus. But not anymore, because I have autofocus now, and today's autofocus is way better. Canon's autofocus is pretty remarkable, honestly. It's pretty darn smart. Anyhow, are there any settings that Maya says? Are there any settings that you'd like to see more? Oh, my stream just died. Okay, occasionally my stream will go out. I don't know why. I have the internet capability here, but YouTube's being weird. I'm not. Anyway. Are there any settings that you'd like to see more in film or would like to film in yourself? I'm not sure what that question means, but I think I would like to see more musicals. Honestly. But I want to see more good musicals. I want to see more like Rocket Man. Like, I loved Rocket Man. I love the visual style of Rocket Man. I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see more like musicals that are taken seriously as a real art form. So anyhow. Stranger Sound. I've never had an issue with Sony products. I wonder how their phones are. I don't know what their does Sony have. I guess they have phones. Yeah, I've always been a Sony guy, but the thing I think people were talking about Sony's very, very accurate. Like, their color is very accurate. They're very almost clinically accurate. That's what's the problem with Sony, is they're super sharp, super clean, but their color is a little bit too clinical, too dry. Whereas Canon tends to be a little bit more exaggerated in their colors. They tend to be a little more, like a little more bold in their colors. Maybe not as accurate though, but more bold. Yeah, Rocket Man was great. Yeah, one of the best musicals to be made in the last, 20 years? Rick H, being a one-man crew isn't easy. I get out of focus shots, no big deal. Yeah, but autofocus, man, autofocus is where it's at. Take a little sip there. Young Crazy says, what camera are you recording on right now? I'm recording on a Canon XC15. And I bought the Canon XC15 as sort of like a behind-the-scenes camera. And honestly, I use it a lot. I use it whenever I don't want to carry a big camera around and I don't need like super shallow depth of field. It works great. It's a 1-inch sensor and it's completely contained. It's got the lens is mounted right on there. So I really like it. It takes a great image, 4K, a 4K image too. So, John Doe, they just announced 10 new Star Wars projects. I wonder why can't anyone create new universe? Yeah, I know. I think I saw that. It's like there's a droid story, but then like in the mix was Indiana Jones. So it's like, well, I guess it's Lucasfilm. It's not, and Willow's in there too. So it's not just Star Wars. It's 10 Lucasfilm projects. But yeah, creating a universe is hard. Like you have to make stuff. Like the latest new universe is Harry Potter. That's relatively newish. So it takes a while for a universe to arrive. And otherwise, what Disney paid like a few $1 billion for that. You gotta make that. It's the mouse like, get out the streets now and make my money back. Make my money back there. Come on. Pimping out the Disney products. The Mickey Mouse the pimp. Anyhow, that's probably get me canceled right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 says, do you think we're ever going to hit diminishing returns in terms of camera resolution? Do you think anything beyond 8K? I don't think anything beyond 4K is useful. Not for final delivery. Even 8K, like realistically, I don't even think 8K is that feasible for video acquisition. I'm sure there's advantages to shooting 8K, and I'll show you the math. I'm going to show you the math and why 8K is so much better. Yeah, sure, whatever. There's a lot of things out there to me that are like a lot of content. I don't know I don't know if you guys work on deadlines. Like, I want to put stuff out, right? And then 8K and 12K is just like holding me back a lot of times. And I think a lot of people like put way too much effort into trying to make something absolutely perfect, and it just needs to be done versus perfect, So I think resolution. I think we're at 4K. I think we're done with resolution. 12K, the only reason that Blackmagic 12K is 12K is because in order to get 8K using that particular type of sensor, you need 12K. So I don't think the 12K is necessarily, I think 8K really was the standard that it was going for. Young Crazy, getting 4 Marvel movies in a 3-year span with like 4 shows each year is, well, my lord. Yeah, you don't have to watch them. That's why I always tell people, like, you're complaining about the number of movies that someone else makes. You don't have to watch them. You just, you don't have to keep up with it. Like, I don't think I've watched a single Marvel show. I don't watch a single, I watch DC animated shows. I like my Batmans, but I haven't watched a single Marvel show, and my life is not, I don't think it's worse off for it. My life isn't worse off because something else exists. No, 12K seems like Young Crazy Casey says 12K seems like a bit much though, but also if you want 8K kind of, you need 12K. No, it's because the way the sensor on the Blackmagic 12K is arranged, because it has this particularly interesting sensor. It uses white pixels. So it's got a red, blue, green, and white pixels. And the white pixels don't contain any color data. So actually, as far as color data it's actually the same amount of pixels as an 8K Bayer system, but it introduces the white pixel in order to get a little bit extra color or light sensitivity, but doesn't capture color data. It only captures luminosity. So that's why it's a 12K sensor. It's a 12K sensor with 8K number of pixels, and not necessarily 8K equivalent of an. This is confusing. It's got the color pixels equivalent of an 8K Bayer. That's what I'm trying to say. So, certain exposures, dude. I developed 4x5 film. Yeah, it looks incredible in the right light. Yeah, I got 8x or 4x5. I haven't done slide film. That's going to be pricey. But no, I do my desktop. I'll show you my desktop. Why not? You guys can see my desktop. So this. But yeah, 4x5 is a pleasure to shoot just because you can just look at it and stare at it. Now I've only been shooting regular negative film. I haven't shot slide film, but that'll be the next up. Eduardo says my microphone sounds good. Well, it's the Rode Broadcaster microphone. Oh, no sound now. It's my sorry. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, when I cut to my desktop there was no sound because I didn't switch over the audio. So let's just put that back over there. So yeah. You should be able to hear me now. There we go. So yeah, that's the 4x5 negative film. I shot 3 4x5 panorama of horseshoe there. Dragged out my 4x5 Toyo camera, 20-pounder, pretty darn heavy. But yeah, you're only seeing a corner of it. So that's that. That's all. I should show you a better picture, but I won't. Because I'm lazy. You're probably all screen snapping and like, let's see what's on John's desktop. Oh, look at that. It's some quintet music. Let's go back to it. Megan Meyer wants to talk microphones. Yeah, go ahead. Talk. What do you want to talk about? Mics. What kind of mics do you want to talk about? I was fortunate. I was being sponsored by Rode for a while, so I got a bunch of microphones, and that's pretty cool. I use them. I use a lot of them. Paul Kepner. Hey, how you doing, Paul? What streaming program I use to stream? I'm using vMix. I'm using the camera Canon connected to a ATEM Mini. This is the regular. I have a Pro on the other side. ATEM Mini goes into the computer as a webcam into vMix. I'm using vMix. You can also use OBS. I think vMix is better. I think for doing video. OBS is pretty darn good for being free. Sure, really darn good. So, Power Mads 3ds Max ? Oh my God, have you not heard of Blender? Why use Max when Blender is a thing? Because I hate Blender. Oh my God, I hate that program. Yeah, I'm way more comfortable in 3D Studio Max. I just cannot wrap my head around Blender right now. Adler, sweet dreams in 24 frames per second. Caleb asks, any chance can I do a video on Super 8? That would be fun. Yeah, Super 8 would. I've never actually shot motion film. I've shot still films, obviously. Dang, my internet, my stream keeps going away. I don't get this. My stream keeps dying. That's strange. All right. Anyhow, Paul Kepner uses you use OBS. You have heard of vMix. vMix is really good for video, for like a video. What can I say? How to say it? It's like a video television style production, whereas OBS is better. I think. Well, OBS is good. vMix can be used for like streaming, like Twitch or stuff like that. But OBS is probably better for. It's freer. Yeah. So, what shutter? Shesha Shai. I'm sorry, I totally butchered your name. What shutter rate is best for 120 FPS? I think honestly, you're probably going to be best off with like 360-degree shutter, which is global shutter, open shutter, because 320 frames per second, your exposure time is not very long. So 120th of a second is probably the best you're going to, Again, what depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting something really, really fast, maybe you want to go a slower shutter or a faster shutter speed than that. But shutter speed is going to be limited on how much light you have. Jake Lieben Penzak says, thanks for everything you do. What are your feelings about Super 16 shooting on it right now? Cool. That's cool. I'm a digital guy. I've always been digital. I've never shot a lick of motion picture film. I guess I don't even know if I could develop it on my own, but I just like shooting digital for video, or for motion. I do enjoy shooting film for stills. It's a different character. It's a different thing to wrap your brain around, but I like digital. I do like digital. I like film too. I like them all. Whatever. Young Crazy Kazi says, by the way, I just got to say that when I went to film school, most of my teachers would show me your videos. Good for, and I haven't gotten paid a lick from dime from them. So I'm teaching the youth. That's good. That way they'll learn properly. Okay, I want to be honest. Like I always say, I'm going to lie to you straight through my teeth. I hate it when I go and watch like another tutorial YouTube video about like whatever history, whatever, and I watch it and it's like, this is completely wrong. This is completely wrong. What they're saying here is wrong. And then you go to the comments and it's like, dude, this is the best video ever. Like this video is a perfect explanation. Like, it's wrong. Ugh. So I realize that all you guys are saying nice things about my videos. Everyone else is getting those nice things too. So I get it. My head's not gonna get inflated that big. I get it. So all I gotta do is try to put out the best I can and let the chips fall as they may. There's a quote from Cyrano de Bergerac that I really love, and maybe I'll look it up later in this podcast. When we finish up, I'll read it to you guys. That won't be copyright hit because that movie's that plays pretty old. But it's about, what would you have me do? Would you have me be a whatever to somebody else? No, I'm going to be true to myself. That's what I can do. Guitar Nut says, how can I shoot 35mm film and also sync sound with a digital recorder? There depends on the camera too. Your camera might be able to have recording capability. Depends on what the camera is going to do. Obviously, you can also just use a slap chop. Clapper to sync them up, and be very, very diligent about that. Did you, Wally Chinchilla? Oh, my stream keeps going down. This has been happening with YouTube for some weird reason. Did I do my own lighting in your studio footage videos? I did most of the lighting. Anything I shot here I did the lighting for. But I didn't do the lighting for like that police video. I didn't do that one. Sasha says, I saw your video on films not using high frame rate. Do you think future movies change to high frame rate? You haven't been on my channel very long, have you? Slap chop, Rick H says. Yep. Sasha asked now, the questions keep coming from Sasha. Is anamorphic going away anytime soon? No, I think anamorphic's more popular than anamorphic is more popular now than it has ever been. I think, I really do. Young Kazi, they only ever showed us you and Red Letter Media. That's good company right there, man. But your brain know it. Me and Plinkett. I think Plinkett and I are long lost brothers. I would love to go on their show. I have a feeling, though, like if Red Letter Media ever noticed I existed, they'd probably take a pot shot at me, and I'd feel really bad because they're my heroes. And they say, never meet your heroes. But I do like myself, Red Letter Media. Maya, not sure if someone asked you this already, but what movie inspired you to go into filmmaking? Great question. So I believe when you are 18 or 19 years old, when you're trying to figure out what to do with your life, I think every filmmaker at that age will have certain movies that like defined who they are as a filmmaker or why they wanted to get into film. So for me, between 16 and 20, the movies that came out during the time. So movies like, I'll watch some older movies, like Psycho was one of the movies I was exposed to as a high schooler, because our high school was brand new, so we decided to do a movie night, and so we showed Psycho and Christmas Vacation. What a great double feature. But Psycho, like Dr. Strangelove was one of my just all-time favorite movies. And then movies that came out in the late 90s, Matrix, what's the name of it? Dang it. A small movie called The Big Kahuna, which has Kevin Spacey, which we're not allowed to talk about anymore. But if you get over that hump, it's got that guy, Kevin Spacey, Danny DeVito, and the guy that plays one of the Peter Finicelli or something like that, who was in Twilight. Big famous for that. Mulholland Drive. Wonder Boys, great, fantastic movie. Tobey Maguire and Iron Man in that movie. So Spider-Man and Iron Man in the same movie, and they were gay lovers. Not the truth, and it's not. It's not the Tropic Thunder clip. What else was there from the 90s? American Beauty, another Kevin Spacey movie. So really a lot of stuff in the 90s that kind of really inspired me to go into filmmaking. Yeah, James Leonard. Hi, how do you do from Florida? Long live 24. Power Mad. What do you think of the original Planet of the Apes? I love the original Planet of the Apes. Was a groundbreaking film. It's a really, really, really important film. I mean, I want to say that was a Fox movie. Yeah, that was a Fox movie. So I'm going to talk about that in the Fox video eventually, or if I ever get around to making that video. I was thinking about shooting it before I tear down the set and rebuild it, but I think I'm just going to tear down the set. Do you remember which camera took your filmmaking virginity, aka your first camera? Yes. Well, my first professional camera was a PD-150. Sony PD-150, which, if you watch Jackass the movie, is what like flew out of his hand when the golf cart went over the bunker. But that was my first professional camera. Still have it. I used it actually in that video about 60 interlace 60i. So I actually used it there. My very first video camera was like a Sony Handycam. I forget what it was. A Digi 8. It was a High 8 camera. So. Yeah, Sam Comer, welcome back. Wonder Boy is one of my favorite of mine. Yeah, such a great movie. And Katie Holmes is in that movie. Remember when Katie Holmes was such a beautiful actress. Still is. But that was like peak Katie Holmes. Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape. Dr. Zaius. There's a Simpsons episode where they made the musical of that. Fanny Magoo says, sports movies because they contain all the necessary elements of drama. Yeah, look, sports movies are great. I like them all. Sure. Donnie Pearson, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Were you here for a while? I just saw you here. Just saw you come on the chat. Enjoy Disney's Investors Day live stream. Darn shame it's not a 20th Century Studio segment. Yeah. My nose is going to me. I didn't watch that, so I haven't been keeping up. I've been busy working on stuff. Bright Afternoon Productions. Oh, boy, we can talk about this for a while. What do you think the best way to build a film community in a local area is? That is the mega $1 million question, because in my day, I have seen every single person, because I live outside of LA, and so where everybody's always saying, we want to turn this town into the next Hollywood. We want to turn this into the next. We want to turn San Diego into the next Hollywood. We want to turn Riverside County into the next Hollywood. And it's so dang hard. How do you build a film community? I don't know. It's getting harder and harder because you have to first get people out to see films. One of the things that my local, there's a dollar theater nearby that I used to love going. Every month they would do classic movie nights, and they were well attended. They did Rocky Horror twice a year. I miss me some Rocky Horror. That's one of the things I want to wait till this pandemic is over. Go out and see a Rocky Horror screening and just yell at the screen. Elbow sex. Stream of consciousness. Most of you guys are like, what the hell is he talking about? Anyhow, but they did like Blade Runner. They showed Clockwork Orange, and there was usually 50 or 60 person capacity. I think that's part of the thing. You've got to hold these events. You've got to make event movies. Show a Lawrence of Arabia. Show Clockwork Orange. Show Smoking the Bandit. Show Ghostbusters. Show a popular movie, but make it an event. And then, maybe make it like a dress-up contest, like a Ghostbusters, but dress up as a Ghostbuster, or I don't know, dress up as a ghost, whatever. But you got to make it a point to go to the movie, to see this movie, even though you can see it at home for free on Netflix. The point is you want to go to the movie theater and hang out with a bunch of people. That's how you get a film-going community. How you make a film-making community, oh my God, that's another difficult thing. Yeah. So it's Sam Cummers talking about film fest and timed film competitions. Yeah, there's that too. Although I'm sort of over the 48-hour film festival. Although, being it's 2020, I think I would do one because there's no other thing you can do about film. Guitar Nut, I love. Okay, so let's talk about this. Guitar Nut says, 1800, be sure to change your smart TV's refresh rate to 24 FPS so the next time you watch Halloween, it doesn't look like a soap opera. It will change your life. Absolutely. You know what's interesting about 24 television? Now we're going to talk about it again. This is a video I wanted to talk about. I wanted to do for the longest time, but it's never gotten around the effort because it's a lot of stuff to put together. But it's the idea that, hey, black frame insertion. How many of you guys have heard of black frame insertion? Right? Black frame insertion. You probably heard it if you're a gamer. But it's really what makes 24 frames a second look really, really good on a brand new OLED TV. It's black frame insertion. I tried it out at Best Buy. I kind of made the Best Buy employee a little angry at me because I was like, give me the remote. And I started like futzing with all the controls. And I tested it to do black frame insertion. And my goodness, like the stuttering on a black 24 on an OLED TV it almost goes away completely with black frame insertion. And the theory behind black frame insertion is, it's just like a movie theater. When you go see an old film projector, the shutter comes down and it shows each frame twice. So there's a brief second of black between each frame. Well, it's actually showing you 2 frames of black and 2 frames of the same frame, right? So the reason why that works is because if you just hold the frame for 24th second, and then you show the very next frame, the 2 frames ends butt up against each other. It's called sample and hold. And so you see that butting up of the 2 frames. So you see that sharp distinction between the frames. If you put a moment of black in between those frames, then your mind kind of just smears it together and it creates a much more smoother motion. I discovered this while watching Too Many Cooks, the classic Too Many Cooks, on my 144 hertz monitor. I have it in my other room. And I watching and I was like, man, this pan looks terrible. But then I watched Jojo Rabbit in the movie theater. It has the same exact kind of pan, same speed, but it was buttery smooth. And I thought, what is the difference? And that's kind of how I stumbled on black frame insertion. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about it, but I have to prepare myself because there's going to be an onslaught of like people that are just like pissed off. You know, every time I talk about frame rate, people are going to be pissed off at me. All right, let's see. Talking about starting a community with writers and stuff like that. You know, like I think my best advice to anybody thinking about starting a community, like you want to curb your enthusiasm about that. I mean, you're going to have to hustle and hustle and hustle to get a community. People always say like every single like filmmaking channel, like whatever, I want to build a community. I want to build a community. Do you really want to build a community? Because it's so much work, and I'm not entirely sure that it's worth it. You know, it's kind of funny. We talk about Sam Comer's on here. Frugal Filmmaker. The Frugal Filmmaker on Facebook. I had to leave that group because it was too much. It was just too much. But the guy that made that, I think he abandoned that Facebook group. It's just like he didn't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not so sure if you want to build a community. You know, do you want to build a community or do you want to basically have an audience? That's the difference. There's a difference between audience or community. You know, and Scott Eggleston. He doesn't even, like, I remember like the Frugal Filmmaker Facebook group. I think he abandoned that. He just didn't want to deal with that anymore. I know he still has his channel. I haven't seen his stuff in a while. I haven't been checking up on him. But yeah. So anyhow, do you really want to build a community? Because that's activism. That's like community organizing. That's what it is. Or do you want to make films and do you want to reach an audience? There's 2 different things. So, you know, remember too, like building a community means it's no longer about you. It's about everyone else, right? So you really can't make your own stuff. I mean, you can, but that's really not the same. They're not like simpatico necessarily. Anyhow, Scott SC Log Z1. The craftsman agrees with you. I did a short noir in 5D Mark II and tried to give it a film look. Oh, okay, cool. Didn't you post that on the other day? I think I checked it out. It's pretty cool. I shot a kind of a film, noir thriller on a 5D Mark II too. Shot that about 9 years ago. That's the one film that won me awards. Yay! I'm an award-winning filmmaker. Sam Comer, our community took a while several years ago when people were still shooting on tape. We had 9-hour film. Oh, 9 hours. Ugh. Then it was 7-day. The 9-hour became 10-hour and became 24-hour. Yeah, like I remember a 48-hour film festival when you were shooting on tape. It was like you have to dedicate like an hour and a half to just logging the tape. And that was annoying. Taking a sip of my Diet Coke. So there we go. Sponsored by Diet Coke. If you need some dieting coking, need some Coke. All right. Well, I'm speaking enough. I'm speaking a lot, so my nose is starting to get a little stuffed up for some strange reason. That's because of the COVID. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have COVID. I'm pretty sure I don't have COVID. My mom got tested for COVID. My mom's going for, well, knock on wood, my mom's going for surgery on Tuesday. So she had to get a COVID test, and she came back negative, which probably means I'm negative too, because if I had COVID, she would be having COVID, or she had COVID, I would have COVID. I don't think we have COVID. Just, it's getting cold. I like Wally Chinchilla. Original 4x3 freaks and geeks stretched to get James Franco's full squints. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, all those 4x3 shows back in the day, like they try to squeeze them out. Or is The Simpsons? Oh my gosh, come on, Disney Plus. Did they ever fix that? Is The Simpsons in the proper aspect ratio or not? I don't know. Let's look up Cyrano speech. What? I'm just looking up this thing. Let's see. What am I looking for? I'm being so boring here. This is terrible streaming, John. You should be filling the air space with your dialogue, with your monologuing here. I'm trying to find something here on the web. Oh, thanks to Acrolon. Regarding comment 24 frames with black frame insertion. Richard Attenborough's Jurassic Park. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, I think I read that out loud. Yeah, black frame insertion is a game changer. It's amazing. Like, like a lot of people, one of the things I find frustrating about today's youth, we're getting on that topic now. One thing I find frustrating about the youth of today is that people seek technological solutions to stuff that already exists. It's like somebody asked, how do you make high frame rate look like 24 frames a second? And the answer is you shoot 24 frames a second. It's not hard. It's like this mental jump. Like, I need to get high frame rate to look cinematic. How do I do that? You don't. You just shoot the 24. Right? So how do you get, where was I going with this? How do you get 24 frames? Okay, so that's what it was. So how do you get the cinematic experience at home? By recreating the cinematic experience. So if you have Flickr in the theater, you have Flickr at home. And the other thing, the other point, like the other thing that begs the question is, or not begs the question, I'm not using that properly, but how do you get, like, part of the black frame insertion is it decreases the luminance of the screen itself. So in order to view black frame inserted media, you really need to watch it in a dimmer room. Well, what happens when you go to the movie theater? You watch in a dimmed room. So you can't have like a really bright screen and have that cinematic experience. You have to have a darkened room. You can't be having bright open windows and expect a cinematic experience. It doesn't work that way, right? So, thank you, Dark Road Run, for your super chat there. This channel deserves as many subscribers as there are filmmakers. Thank you so much. There's not that many filmmakers out there. Donnie Pearson, the pre-HD episodes of The Simpsons in stream on Disney Plus are available in both 16. Are they both? Well, you have to choose. You should make that non-choice. Yeah, by default, Simpsons is Pat Boy. By default, Simpsons is cropped, and it's not the most obvious solution to turn it off. How do you turn it off? I'll have to check. I haven't watched it in a while. I miss The Simpsons. They used to run The Simpsons like 3 times a day on my local Fox affiliate, and I would watch like at least one or two of the three repeats. I'd always watch. I mean, I got to the point where I can quote a lot of Simpsons, and I'm pretty good at Simpsons trivia. If you guys want to test me in the comments, but I'm pretty good with Simpsons trivia. But may not do so well on the stream. Bo Dinner, that diet stuff is awful for you. I love me some carbonated water, but not waspy wasp. Yeah, I mean the it is what it is. You know, I prefer the fact that it doesn't have any calories. I do like seltzer water. I do like my LaCroix. LaCroix. I do like LaCroix. But Coke, I'll take a Coke. For me, the calorie deficiency is worth it. Oh, it's in the Pat Boy. It's in the extras options in the Disney Plus. All right, we'll check it out. Western Washington reruns The Simpsons air on Seattle's Q13 Fox KCPQ, the newest Fox-owned and operated station. In LA, Fox KTTV, Channel 11, Fox Broadcasting. They don't run Simpsons anymore. There's no more Simpsons in my Fox. Can you believe that? No more Simpsons. There's an old joke like. David Tell used to tell a whole joke like, like you're running out of the bathroom and you hear that dun 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 dun. Like you go to the bathroom, you have to take your do your business, but you're like can't wait to put your pants on because you hear that theme song dun 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 dun. Who shot Mr. Burns? Well, it was Waylon Smithers. No, it was Maggie Simpson. Of course. Yeah. I was trying to think like a lot of like really, really obscure Simpsons trivia stuff. I'm trying to think of something that might be, like what was Krusty's father's name? Yeah, no Simpsons reruns on KTTV Fox 11. Dang, yeah, they just got rid of all of that. Sorry, I'm just snorting my Coke right there. Anyhow. Who was the only writer of The Simpsons to pitch 3 and get approved 3 scripts in a row? I'm not quite sure what that is. That would be I don't even know all my Simpsons writers. I'm not that big on the behind-the-scenes stuff. Unless it was the most obvious one, just pick Conan O'Brien. Bleeding Gums. Rabbi Krusty. No, not Rabbi Krusty. In fact, Krusty is not part of it at all. It's Rabbi... should I say it? What's Disco Stew's real name? That's a good question. I do not know that one. That one's a good one. Rabbi's with 2 B's, Pat Boy. Rabbi, Rabbi. Praxne Dixit. What's your opinion on Indian cinema? I would love to watch some more. If you want to send me recommendations of some good Indian cinema that I have access to, I would love to see some. I haven't seen much of Indian cinema. It was Conan. Both. Yeah, because Conan's like, it's like, Jeopardy? Have you ever watched Jeopardy? Alex Trebek, rest his soul. He was born on my birthday, Alex Trebek. But in Jeopardy, it's never... how you play Jeopardy is you always go for the most obvious answer. Jeopardy never does like obscure answers. They always go for the most obvious one. And so, Jeopardy is one of those games where you have to have a really wide... It's preferable to have really wide, shallow knowledge rather than really deep knowledge into the subject matter. So, Disco Stew's name is Stuart Discotheque Disco Stew. All right. Well, I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna Google that. Disco Stew's real name. Let's see what is so. Yep, Stuart Discotheque. Very good. I don't know why I was thinking it wasn't Stu. Okay, Guitar Nut says, is Final Draft really the industry standard script writing program? Yes, it is, unfortunately. It's a good program. I have it somewhere. I bought it a long time ago. I don't use it very often, but it is industry standard. You can write, if you're writing a script for yourself, you can write whatever program you want. But if you're working in Hollywood and you're doing back and forth with somebody, yeah, In final draft, you need it. You're gonna have to, but if you're working in Hollywood, you can afford it. So, you got to invest something. You got to put some money down on something, man. You can't be working. You can't. You got to put some money where your mouth is. Oh, what is the total on the cash register when Maggie is scanned in the opening sequence? That's the question from Matthew Youngblood, and the answer is NRA forever. Just one of the many hilarious right-wing commentaries that Matt Groening inserts in every single episode of The Simpsons. Now we're speaking my language here. Talking to The Simpsons here. Yellow cursor. Speaking of the yellow cursor from The Simpsons. Hi, John. Are you Japanese, Chinese, or Filipino? I am half American, half Taiwanese. That's the mix that gets you this in front of you right there. Print it. All right, so give me some movies to check out. I'll have to take a look at them. Okay, I can't pronounce any of them, sorry. Saint Dark Home, how can I copyright my scripts to send to producers? Okay. Saint, you own your copyright right away. You can register your copyright. A lot of people, there's arguments. This is something you might want to check out John August's podcast. He probably goes more into about this. The fact of the matter is your script copyright exists automatically. You can register your script, although some people think that registering a script makes you look like desperate and needy. Remember that, well, you should the copyright already exists. It exists when you created it. Should you register the copyright? Probably not. Or if you do, you don't want to like put it on the page itself. Look, here's the thing. You're going to have your ideas ripped off. That's just the reality. Ideas are not copyright protected. You can have an idea for a movie, and there's no protection on it whatsoever. Somebody can come around, take the same idea and write something similar. And a lot of times that happens, and the truth of the matter is stuff like that happens all the time, which is why a lot of people don't accept unsolicited scripts, because the temptation to steal an idea is too great, and then it becomes legal complications and all that stuff. So, stuff's going to happen like that. So I wouldn't be super, super, super protective of your script as far as the copyright is concerned. Give it to people that you trust, and then. But if you become litigious like that, no one wants to work with you. Nikki Manny says, film videographers, I can't wait for this to end so I can continue my documentary. I know. Tell me about it. Will Legal, yeah, the original price is $847.63, which is what it was the estimate cost per month to care for a child. Interesting. Okay, I'll buy that. It wasn't NRA forever. Dang it. That episode lied to me. It's like, which two characters died in the following episode? It was Marvin Monroe. If you said Marvin Monroe and Bleeding Gums Murphy, you're wrong. They were never popular characters. Oh, Jake Liebman says, I have studied film, I'm making a significant living as an advertising copywriter. Good. Subsidize my filmmaking with my wage. Do you feel like there's a sense of value in film school? Do you feel like there's still a sense of value in film school? Yes and no. Like film schools, if you want connections, if you want build a community, if you build your contacts, film school is important. If you want to make a film, I don't think film schools are really that important. Okay. Hey, Sri Harsha. All right. Yeah, my nose is starting to go. So I want to read you the quote that I think I wanted to go off on tonight. And we'll wrap it up tonight. This is, when I first heard this, believe it or not, it was on William Shatner's spoken word album. Yeah. Because the first thing I bought when I was a kid and I got my first credit card, I went to Amazon, which is brand new at the time, and I bought myself the William Shatner spoken word album. And then I bought the Leonard Nimoy spoken word album because I was such a nerd and I wanted everyone to know how big a nerd I was and how completely, just unsexy I was. But anyhow, it made me discover this quote. and I love it. So I want to go read you this monologue, right, from the Cyrano de Bergerac. What would you have me do? Seek for the patronage of some great man, like a creeping vine on a tall tree, crawl upward where I cannot stand alone? No, thank you. Dedicate as others do to poems and pawnbrokers, be a buffoon in the vile hope of teasing out a smile on some cold face? No, thank you. Eat a toad for breakfast every morning, make my knees callous, and cultivate a supple spine, wear out my belly groveling in the dust? No, thank you. Scratch the back of any swine that roots up gold for me? Tickle the horns of mammon with my left hand, my right too proud to know his partner's business? Take in the fee? No, thank you. Use the fire God gave me to burn incense all day long under the nose of wood and stone? No, thank you. Shall I go leaping into ladies' laps and licking fingers, or change the form navigating with madrigals for oars, my sails full of sighs of dowagers? No, thank you. Publish verses at my own expense? No, thank you. Be a patron saint of my own small group of literary souls who dine together every Tuesday? No, I thank you. Shall I labor night and day to build reputation on one song and never write another? Shall I find true genius only among the geniuses, palpitate over little paragraphs, and struggle to insinuate my name in the columns of the Mercury? No, thank you. Calculate, scheme, be afraid, love more to make a visit than a poem, seek introductions, favors, influences? No, thank you. No, I thank you. And again, I thank you. But to sing, to laugh, to dream, to walk in my own way and be alone, free with a voice that means manhood, to cock my hat when I choose, at a word, a yes, a no, to fight or write, to travel any road under the sun, under the stars, nor doubt of fame or fortune lie beyond me, the born, never to make a line I have not heard in my own heart, yet with all modesty say, my soul be satisfied with flowers, with fruit, with weeds even, but gather them in one garden you may call your own. So when I win some triumph, by some chance, render no share to Caesar. In a word, I am too proud to be a parasite. And if my nature wants the germ that grows, towering to heaven like a mountain pine, or like an oak sheltering multitudes, I stand not high, as it may be, but alone. Anyhow. No thank you. I'm not going to be a sellout. I am going to do what's true to me, and that is Cyrano de Bergerac. Alrighty, guys. Well, I am going to have to call it a night, guys. And we shall see you guys later. Hey, so have a happy evening. Might probably jump on before Christmas. At least maybe a couple more times before 2020 rings out. And probably have another video in me, I think, for 2020. And we shall see you guys later. Take care now. Bye-bye.